We very rarely talk Temple football nationally, let alone on this show, Bruce. But another guy that Temple was identifying at the time before hiring Manny Diaz was Don Brown, the defensive coordinator at Michigan. Michigan getting blown out by Florida after getting blown out by Ohio State. That said, NFL teams are said to be, as we are speaking, in hot pursuit, to use a phrase of the day here on the Rich Eisen Show, of Jim Harbaugh. Is it possible that Michigan loses their head coach and defensive coordinator in the next several days, Bruce?
I mean, it's possible. I could see Don Brown being the guy at Temple. If you're Temple and you've had a lot of good coaches come and go in the last few years, I mean, Don Brown's older. I don't. He's been a head coach before. He's really well respected. He's from the Northeast. You know, if Don Brown goes there and does well, he's not going to be leaving for some bigger job 3 years from now. And I think if you're Temple, I think that should be appealing at this point. I know it's a tricky thing when you're hiring somebody in their 60s. As far as the Michigan thing, and I think you and I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
I just don't see how Jim Harbaugh walks away from Michigan. To me, that would be quitting. And I say it this way because it would be quitting just because the main job, if you're him, job number one is beat your hated arch rival, and nobody hates that school more than him. And to walk away the way it would have ended, that's job undone. I just don't see him moving on to the NFL. For everything I know of Jim Harbaugh, that just seems like out of character.
No, I would agree with you, Bruce. But even and I say this with all honesty, even I would understand it if Chris Johnson and Woody Johnson call him up and say, here's a $13-14 million a year check. How in the heck do you say no to something like that in this day and age?
He's already making, but Rich, he's making $8 million a year in a much cheaper place to live. And again, it's easy for guys like us and me to talk about somebody else's money.
Know, right?
But $8 million a year goes a long way. I don't know what the added $6 million a year would change your quality of life. I just come back to, you're the ultimate competitor. You're not the ultimate financial guy. You're the ultimate competitor football guy. You're the Michigan guy. How do you walk away after with the way Ohio State, Michigan has played out? How do you walk away from that? The money to me just doesn't add up in regards to that would entice him so much that he would just pull the plug on.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.